everyone. Welcome to this session 3 in the series of financial planning for women. Thank you for joining me today. We'll focus our energy today on setting up the financial goals. But before we start, a quick reminder, I'm not a certified financial advisor. Everything I share here is learning and education purpose only. If you have any specific financial needs, please consult a licensed professional. With that, let's dive in. So, we started our journey with the session 1 where we talk about the need of financial plan, what are the different challenges that women face, and how to factor them into a financial plan. In the second session, we talked about how to assess a current financial situation. We suggested 6 different steps and we created a financial dashboard for an individual at the end. If you haven't gone through that session, I would request you to do so that you understand how to do this assessment and get ready for this session. If you have already started your financial journey, I would advise you to do so just to understand the gaps and any additional considerations that you need to factor in your financial journey. With that in mind, let's start with session 3, which is setting up a financial goal. Setting a financial goal is most powerful step you can take toward achieving a financial freedom and security. But goals only work if they are clear, realistic, and measurable. There are a lot of content out there available on discussing or for how to define a SMART goals. I would advise you to go and learn through them, but in today's session we will just focus our energy on how to define SMART goals for a financial journey. There are different kind of goals that needs to be defined in financial journey. First would be a short-term goal which will span somewhere from 0 to 1 year and sometimes get extended up to 2 years. The second would be mid-term goals. They would span somewhere between 2 to 5 years. And last would be long-term, and yes, they would be 5+ years. Short-term goals would be like creating an emergency funds, paying off your credit card debts, saving for short vacations, and simply creating a monthly budget. A midterm goal would be saving for a car, saving for a home down payment, or paying off a student loan, or start a simple side hustle or a business. In long-term plan, the things would be involved like creating a retirement corpus, buying a home or a second property, planning for children's education, and work towards a financial freedom. A simple tip here, don't wait to finish your short-term goals to start on your long-term goals. Even a small contribution towards your long-term goal would bring in the compounding effect into a financial journey, and this will increase your wealth massively over time. The next consideration on defining a SMART goals would be an impact of different phases of life onto a goal definition. Of course, a different stages in the life would impact the financial goal settings, especially for women where they are having a caregiving or a maternity breaks. So I would factor them into 4 to 5 different categories. First would be if you are in your 20s. This is a foundational year where you lay a foundation for your financial journey. The focus would be on building the habits, exploring your career, and gaining an experience in different investment tools. So here the short-term goals would be starting with an emergency fund, build your credit score. The mid-term goal will be paying down your student loans and get a basic health insurance. And the long-term goal would be building and beginning the investment related journey and start learning on different tools and their basic concepts. Especially for women, early career breaks like maternity can affect a long-term savings. So start building early so that you get that buffer time in your life. The next category would be when people are in their 30s. So this section would be more focused on growth and a family. So focus here would be career progression, marriage, kids, and bigger life planning. So a short-term goal would be plan around dual or single income, account for children's cost and maternity leave for women. Mid-term goal would be save aggressively towards the home down payment and expand your retirement contribution. This would strengthen your life and health. Especially for women, account for a possible career pauses and part-time work just to make sure that your financial health is robust enough. The next category would be 40. So the focus of financial plan for this category would be on wealth building, growing responsibilities with children and parents, and career demands need to be factored in this age group. So we'll be saving for kids' education, supporting aging parents, and optimizing the mid-career related challenges and income. We would also review a health insurance and estate planning at this stage. Women has to consider here a balance between a caregiving responsibilities and your investment related growth. Don't sacrifice your future for your security. So do a proper investments or small investments towards your retirement fund and long-term goals, even if you are having a career breaks. The next category would be 50. In 50s, the focus would be on retirement planning. This would be a peak of a career progressions and earnings. Setting up the next phase would be a focus for this category. Maximizing a retirement fund would be a critical step here. Reducing and eliminating debt would be a midterm goal here. Considering long-term care insurance planning would be a long-term goal. And reviewing and will and estate plan would be a short-term goal for this category. Especially for women, start planning for solo aging because women often have a longer life expectancy compared to men. The last category would be 60s. Of course, after 60s, we would not be more focused on doing and financial investments, but this would be a more planning towards the how to utilize savings properly and secure them for the future use. So the more main points would be planning for withdrawals for pensions, annuities, etc., and managing the healthcare related needs and cost, adjusting the house or for downsizing or assisted livings if needed, and ensure the estate and inheritance planning would be considered at this age group. So that is considering a different life stages in the life. The next step would be discussing the goals with your partner. Before that, a smart for the goal definition. I hope you kind of understood the different kind of small short-term, long-term goals that we talked about based on the different age group. I would ask you to consider a smart framework to define these goals. They need to be specific. For example, I need 5 lakh rupees for car buying in next 2 years. That defines a timeline. So your goal is very specific. The purpose is defined. It's measurable that you need a 5 lakh in 2 years. It's achievable based on your salary statements, you need to make that assessment. But for me, it would be achievable goal. It should be realistic. Yes, 5 lakh rupees car would make it more realistic. Of course, you can consider 10 to 15 lakhs based on your lifestyle. And it is timely because we have also mentioned a 2 years time framework. This is how you will define a smart goals for each category that you fall into. The last point, discussing with your partner. Financial planning doesn't happen in isolation, especially if you are sharing your life with your partner. A open, honest, and respectful money conversation build a trust and alignment. I would leave this decision to you if you want to discuss this with your partner or not, but the advice is it's better to do it um, into a family environment. So to start this discussion, you need to have a conversation rather than confrontation. Be transparent about your income, debt, savings, and financial obligations. Set a shared goals wherein the house, children, travel related plans will come in. Create a joint budget for a shared responsibilities, but do have a personal account as well wherein you keep your personal goals and plannings intact. The last would be agreeing on the responsibility. So who manages the bill, who take cares of the financial investment, who tracks the savings and review the finances. This would be helpful if you do it a monthly or quarterly basis. Plan for unexpected things. So you should consider about the emergency funds and corpus that you need to build if the unexpected things life throws at you. Talk for the values and just not for the numbers, and watch for the warning signs, which is more critical in this discussion, which is if there is a secretive behavior, big expenses without discussion, or avoidance of a money talk. This would give you a red flags on your discussions with the partner. You can use different kind of tools as I mentioned before. And to summarize today's discussion, setting a financial goal means defining your short term, long term, and medium term goals. Consider and adjust these goals based on the age group that you fall into, and prioritize your focus and involve your partner in this discussion, or a family if you have open and transparent discussion with your life partner. This is a critical step in financial planning, and one that's often get overlooked, especially by women balancing multiple roles. In our next session, we will deep dive into how to actually implement these strategies and define the goals and make a use of different kind of tools. I would ask you before we start in the next session, take 1 hour of your schedule, start listing out your short term, mid-term, and long term goal, adjust them based on your age group so that we start discussing about the implementation plan. I might focus on debt management till you make this list. So there would be an additional debt management session in between, and then we'll jump into the implementation plan. Thank you for watching and happy learning.